and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am Emily the Mystic. As you can see, I got a little bit of a hair upgrade from my last video, and I'm just so excited to be here. And as always, let's dive right on in. So today's video is a topic that's really important that I touch on in terms of your spiritual journey, because it's one that's made a really big impact on my life personally, and one that's really helped me a lot and really helps a lot of my clients. So today we're going to be talking about shadow work and what it means to work with the shadow, what it means to work with the so-called darker, shall I say, aspects of you, and how to release a lot of societal conditioning and programming that is built up in your energy field from your entire experience here on this planet in this lifetime. And so shadow work is a really hot topic in the spiritual space, and it's one that I really want to share my perspective and opinions on, because if you decide to go on this journey, it can have a really, really profound impact on your life. It can help you to release a lot of anxiety, a lot of stress, a lot of worry. It can help you to lean into your authenticity as a soul, lean more into being your true self. And it can help you with finding your path, your purpose, and being in true alignment with your experience here on earth. So first, let's talk about the shadow. So what is the shadow when we refer to it in that sort of scary term of shadow work? Shadow work can kind of sound a little bit scary. When I first learned about this topic, I was having an energy healing with another intuitive at the time, and I was newer to the spiritual community, and nobody at that point was really talking about shadow work. There were some published books, of course, but at least in the circles that I was sort of participating in, I wasn't really seeing any posts about it, any content about it, so I didn't know what it was. And that intuitive healer said to me, like, Emily, what will really help you on your journey is if you learn more about shadow work and embark on a shadow work process. And I was kind of scared hearing those words. I mean, that sounds really heavy. That sounds really intense, right? Working with the shadow. Ooh, that sounds kind of scary. And so because of that, I sort of put off the process, and also because I wasn't seeing a lot of mentors, healers talking about it in the space at that time, I did eventually find an amazing mentor who focuses solely on shadow work. And so if this topic of this video really resonates with you, I will share with you some ways of how you can start incorporating shadow work into your own life. And in future videos, I will also be sharing more of the how-to, the actionable steps of actually how you do shadow work. But today we're talking about the what. What is shadow work and why is it so important? So let's go back to talking about what the shadow is. So the shadow is a little bit of a scary term, maybe in some people's perception, that refers to some of the more, shall I say, negative or darker elements of your personality, of your being, of your energy field, of your experiences. And I also want to frame this around the perception that these are things that are not bad versus traits that may be considered good. That is perception based on society's standards, right? In a certain status quo. None of these things that are contained in the shadow are considered bad. It's just because we live in a binary universe, a universe of polarity of dark and light, this is the opposite end of the spectrum of who you are as a light being. So we talk about love and light all the time. This is the opposite end of the spectrum. And so this, if we're talking about this from the perspective of energetics, the shadow is the heavier, denser energy that we carry. It's the heavier, denser frequencies that we carry in our energy field. And so that all of that energy is encompassed in our shadow. And these are some of the traits, some of the beliefs, some of the opinions that we have chosen to disown about ourselves, that we have chosen not to recognize, that we have chosen not to take a look at. So we could also consider some of the trauma, the past trauma that we've been through, traumatic experiences that we have either witnessed, seen, or been a part of to also be part of our shadow. It's all of those experiences, things, beliefs that we don't really want to take a look at, that we would rather not revisit, that we try to ignore, push away. And it's all of that energy that may, unfortunately, be sabotaging you and may, unfortunately, be sort of standing in your way of being able to move forward in your life. So the shadow also encompasses some of those traits that we don't want to show the world, that we don't want to associate ourselves with, that we don't want to be seen as. So, for example, say that when you were growing up, you were really a quiet person, at least in other people's perceptions of you. They saw you as being quiet because maybe you were really sensitive, intuitive, and empathic, and you weren't always the one that was participating actively in conversations. It felt better to you to lean back and to listen and to absorb conversations like a sponge versus actively contributing and participating. So therefore, somebody at your school told you, oh, you're the quiet one. You're the quiet one in class. And you took that on, and you were taught during that school setting that it was bad to be seen as quiet because you weren't participating. And so that trait of being the quiet one gets stored in the energy of your shadow. It gets stored in your energy field and pushed away. And maybe you go off on your journey. Maybe you learn to love drama and being on stage. And by drama, I mean like the drama club. Maybe you enjoy theater and you gain your confidence from being on stage. And then all of a sudden, you're this very extroverted person, and you don't want to take a look at being that quiet person anymore. You don't want to associate yourself with that. So being known as the quiet one may be something that is lurking in your shadow, that's hanging out in your energy field. So our shadow encompasses all of those subconscious things that we've pushed away. Anything that's stored in the unconscious and subconscious mind that we don't want to take a look at, that is an unknown belief that we may be carrying, whether that be a learned belief from our parents or a belief from our school years or from people that we surrounded ourselves with. And all of these things contribute to our actions or lack thereof in our day-to-day life. And again, I want to bring it back to the fact that your shadow is not bad. It actually contains really valuable information, valuable lessons to learn, traits to integrate into your being, and gifts that you can bring back into yourself. So by diving into your shadow, you're going to learn a lot more about yourself, and you're going to be able to move forward, especially if you've been feeling stuck. So what is shadow work? What does that term shadow work mean? So shadow work is the process of bringing those shadow elements out of our unconscious and subconscious awareness into the light, into our conscious awareness, integrating and embodying them into our day-to-day lives. So becoming okay and energetically neutral about the fact that you were known as the quiet one, and being okay with being the quiet friend, and accepting that and integrating that aspect of yourself into your life, and not being triggered by somebody telling you that you're being quiet or that you're not speaking up. So the process of shadow work helps to bring those unconscious beliefs. Again, they may be things that you're not aware of, that you're holding on, traumatic experiences or unconscious beliefs that you're holding on to energetically in your field, in your mind, in your subconscious mind state, that are ready to be brought to the light, that you're ready to become aware of, and ready to integrate those things, those traits, those memories into your beingness, so that they're not holding you back anymore. Because as we all know, the unconscious mind runs the show. So the more we can embrace what's there, and the more we can shift and change what's there, the more we can move forward in our lives. And we also are moving more into a greater state of authenticity. I don't want to use the word whole here, moving into a greater state of wholeness, because that's not the case. You're already whole exactly as you are. It's more so being more in the energy of being your authentic self, being more like you, and embracing all of those aspects that you have knowingly or unknowingly pushed away throughout the course of your life. And doing this helps you to embrace a deeper state of self-love, of truly loving who you are, loving your experience here on earth, and loving every aspect of you. So again, this helps you to sort of show up more as that authentic, true version of yourself. And by integrating all of these aspects that I have been talking about into your day-to-day life from your unconscious mind, they're no longer going to be running the show. And so therefore you're able to make decisions consciously based off of positive belief systems instead of some of these heavy things that may be lingering below the surface. So how do we know that we need shadow work? I would say the number one biggest indicator that we need to do some shadow work is when we are being triggered, actively triggered by things that are going on in our life, in our external reality. So people that are irritating us or bothering us or frustrating us, whenever we feel really blocked or really stuck, and whenever we're having really intense emotional reactions to things going on in our life. So that could be an intense reaction to a conversation, being really triggered by that conversation. That could be an intense reaction to something that happens in your reality. I don't want to say something that happens to you, because everything is happening for you, right? But things that are happening in your reality, you're starting to notice that you're having really intense emotional responses to them. As you do more shadow work, you'll notice that you get less and less triggered. You will feel so much lighter and freer in your life, and you will start to feel more you'll start to feel less anxious and less stressed out by things going on in your life. Doing shadow work also really helps us when we are really feeling out of alignment with our life path. So if you're feeling really triggered or brought down by your career or your job or the work that you're doing, that may be a sign that you need to do some shadow work in order to help you realize, well, why am I here? Why am I still in this job that's not treating me right? All of those things. And shadow work, it's also a really great thing to do if you are bumping up against the same thing, the same pattern over and over and over again. Say the same type of person keeps popping up in your life. For example, if you are looking to find your soul partner and you're dating all of these people, and the people that keep meeting you for dates all remind you of the same type of person, and there's a pattern there. So that's a sign that you are going to want to take a look and do some shadow work to see what's really going on. Okay. So why is shadow work so important that we talk about? Obviously, you can see a lot of the benefits from what I've shared, how when we unlock some of these unconscious beliefs and how when we release this energy from our field, we start to feel better, we feel less anxious, we feel more in alignment, we start to make different decisions and choices, etc., etc. And it's so important right now during this time specifically. I'm sure you've seen a lot of content posts and so forth on social media about it, but it's so important during this time in general because we're going through such a divisive and antagonistic time here on Earth, where there's constant conflict, constant chaos, things constantly unfolding on the world stage that are really intense. And so when we focus in on our own journey, our own process, our own self-growth, our own development, as we're on our ascension journey, moving towards enlightenment in terms of raising your vibration as a soul, shadow work is a part of that process. You can't raise your vibration without letting go of the things that no longer serve, and that's exactly what shadow work is. So shadow work helps us to learn, know, and accept some of those less desirable aspects of ourselves. so that we can know, learn, and be more accepting, not just of ourselves, but of other people in general. This really can help us to help others. It helps us to release unconscious biases about other people and groups of people that we may unknowingly perceive as different based on our societal conditioning and programming from our family, our religious organization that we were a part of, etc., etc. And overall, it's so important that we focus on shadow work right now because as a collective, it helps us to raise the overall vibration of the planet. Your personal work is so, so, so important because it helps us all to grow, uplift, expand, and change as a collective. So what are some of the benefits? We've talked about a lot of them already, but I just really want you to know how important the topic of shadow work is because it's really going to help you to feel better in so many areas of your life. You're going to find more intimacy and more joy in your relationships. Your relationship with a romantic partner, your relationship with your family members, with your friends. It's also going to help you to let go of the relationships that are no longer serving you. So maybe the friendships that are no longer for your highest good, maybe those old friendships that are sort of dragging you along. It helps you to let go of them. Another benefit of shadow work is being in better relationship with your physical body. It helps you to feel and accept and be accepting of your physical body and your physical vessel and this beautiful thing that you were given when you chose to incarnate here on Earth. Doing shadow work really helps a lot with the physical symptoms as well. I have noticed a huge decrease in anxiety and stress and worry, fear in my own life, and it helps to boost creative energy. It helps to boost lightness. It helps to boost happiness and joy so that you're no longer bogged down by all of the heavy stuff. And it really helps you to make different decisions and choices. So, for example, if you're staying in a career that's no longer in alignment with you because you're carrying old conditioning about how a traditional 9-to-5 job is, what you need to be doing in order to be successful, maybe when you release that aspect of your shadow and integrate it into your being, you allow yourself to make a different choice, a different decision, and to find a new job that is more in alignment. So shadow work overall gives us so much freedom because it allows us to be our true authentic selves. It gives us more freedom to be who we are. And when we are in that energy, we are pure creative beings. That allows us to create whatever it is that we want to create in our lives. So where does the shadow form? Where does it come from? It starts as early as your birth experience, truly. When you came into this world, the first things that you heard when you came out of the womb, the love and attention you were given by your mother or lack thereof, and everything that followed from there. All of the people who raised you, maybe your parents, maybe a guardian, maybe a group of people, maybe a church community, your teachers, all of those people help to influence your shadow. All of that energy helped to teach you what was considered acceptable and what was not. So truly at the root of the shadow, it is societal conditioning and programming from external influences, from the media, from people in our lives who have taught us that things need to be a certain way. And so therefore we're taught as soon as we come out of the womb that things are acceptable and some things are not. And in order to be accepted by society, we have to be, act, do things a certain way. And that's how our shadow gets formed. So we push all of these unconscious beliefs deep down into our minds because we never want to visit them again. And we're like, you know what? I am no longer that quiet person. I'm super extroverted. I'm super confident. I no longer want to be seen as that person anymore. And then you move on with your life. But unfortunately, that unconscious belief around not being accepted is still hanging out in your energy field, and it may unknowingly be running the show. So The other really important thing to note about the shadow is that when you're little, your shadow actually acts like a protection mechanism. It does keep you safe. So everything that gets stored in your shadow when you're going through childhood helps to keep you safe and out of harm's way, because all of these different things that you've learned about what's acceptable and what's not, that is teaching you how to stay safe so that you can continue to live and thrive in the environment that you're in. So when you are taking on a belief into your shadow, into your energy field that's not going to serve you as an adult, the reason why you took it on in the first place was because it was helping your inner child in some way so that they could stay safe. So there is a reason why the shadow helps us, but when we get to a certain point in our lives and we're all of a sudden we're blocked, we're stuck, we don't know what to do next, it's probably because the shadow is still running the show. Another really crazy thing that can happen with all of this in mind is the what is known as projection. So we can also knowingly and unknowingly take on other people's beliefs as if they are our own. So based on the household that you were raised in, or the school or the community that you were raised in, you were knowingly or unknowingly taking on belief systems from others because they were projected onto you from other people. And all of those projected energies, those even projected emotions about how you should feel about something, about how you should feel in your life, they get stored in your energy field. So for example, if your family members, maybe mom and dad, carry a lot of shame and guilt around money and having money because they were taught at some point that money in the hands of bad people only does bad things, or that people who have a lot of money are greedy or shameful. If your family, if your parents carry that belief system, they may unknowingly project that belief system onto you. And so that can also get absorbed into your energy field. So projected energies, imprinted beliefs from other people that were not yours originally also exist in your shadow. The other really interesting thing that I want to share with you as well about the shadow is that we don't just have negative beliefs in our shadow. We also can carry positive beliefs and positive traits in our shadow, positive aspects. We can carry positive aspects such as being super confident, being a good communicator, being strong in our shadow if those were traits that we were not taught to embody, develop, or really learn how to use or to work with. So your shadow contains aspects of yourself that are amazing and that can really benefit you in your life if you allow yourself to take a look at what those things could be and open yourself up to doing the shadow work process. So I hope that video gives you a beautiful overview of what shadow work is, what the shadow is, why it's so important, and how it can help you when actually going throughout the process of doing shadow work. In my next video, I'm going to be sharing with you some tools and some how-tos of how you can start doing this process of shadow work so that you can start to feel free of all of these things that are hanging out in your energy field and in your unconscious mind. All right, sending love. Make sure you give this video a thumbs up and let me know in the comments what resonated with you from this video and if you feel like shadow work is the next step of your own journey. Sending so much love, and I'll see you in the next video.